About 8:15 here on Tuesday morning. I figured I'll drop a little knowledge on you as I'm waiting for my 8:30 networking meeting appointment. We're going to do a little coffee and conversation this morning. I talk the talk a lot about maximizing your minutes. But I think it's important for me to demonstrate that I'm walking the walk too. Yeah, I got a meeting before business hours, and we're going to talk some shop. But also on my commute this morning, taking my son to school, leave the house before 7 a.m. And in that 45-minute to an hour ride, I used that time wisely. I maximized my minutes, and I fired up a little podcast from Tina Zaremba, who, if you're not listening to that podcast, you should. She talks to a lot of great influencers in the voiceover world, and she happened to have on a legend, a guy that I have mad respect for, Joe Cipriano. If you don't know who he is, look him up. The guy is buttoned up. The guy is famous. He knows what he's doing. He's been around for a while. His voice is amazing. And he was talking to Tina. Tina was interviewing him for about 40 minutes during this podcast, and they were talking about Joe's journey and about how the voiceover world has changed from when he started in the early to mid 80s to how it is now. And they spent a considerable amount of time discussing that the responsibilities, the competencies of a voiceover talent now are much different than they were 20, 30 years ago. Back when Joe started, you had to be a good talent. And that's really all you had to worry about. Because if you were a good talent, most times an agent would pick you up and you would be able to just worry about showing up at Studio X or Agency Y and laying down some tracks and collecting your check. But now with the proliferation of online voiceover talent casting sites, and the barrier of entry to voiceover work is so much lower because you just need a really good computer and a microphone and some recording software. There are a lot more players on the field competing for a whole lot more opportunities. And what does that mean? Well, they were talking about how you can't just be just a good talent. Yeah, it starts with that. If you can't read and interpret copy well, it's a long haul. But over and above that, you have to be a good engineer. You have to know how to run that equipment in your studio. You have to have a little IT experience because you're doing stuff online. You're working with software. You got to know recording techniques. You got to know how to edit. Then you got to know some businessy type stuff as far as if you're billing clients direct, you're sending invoices, you're keeping track of your accounting, your expenses, etc. And one thing they tickled on a little bit, which I'm going to piggyback on, which they couldn't elaborate too much on, surprisingly, was they left out the whole element of how a voiceover talent needs to know how to market themselves properly. You know, it's a lot more than just having a website or having a LinkedIn account or a Twitter page. It's a lot more than just having that presence online. It's like, what are you doing with all of those properties? What are you doing with that logo? What are you doing with that demo that you invested in? How are you presenting it to people? How are you selling yourself? If you don't know how to market yourself as a voice talent, if you're just winging it, or if you're spraying and praying, you're just spraying that demo out and praying someone's going to answer with a voiceover job, you need to talk to someone. You need to get some counsel, to get some advice from someone that knows what they're doing. If you have any questions regarding marketing yourself as a voiceover talent, hit me up. I can point you in the right direction. So the moral of the story is, A, make sure to maximize your minutes. Feed your head when you have opportunities. And then when you're maximizing your minutes and you're feeding your head and you're getting 1% better, make sure you're up to speed on how to market yourself as a voiceover talent. Have a great day. Remember, complacency kills, and go get it.